Exceeding Expectations, episode 64. Today's guest, Jeff Pulvino. We talk about marketing strategies and how they can really help take your business from doing okay or maybe struggling to really succeeding, to getting revenue you'd never dreamed of. And he tells one fascinating story about exactly how he did that for someone who was struggling to pay very small bills into taking them into earning comfortably 7 figures a year. So that's coming up this week's episode with Jeff Pulvino. This is the podcast where we aim to give you ideas how to exceed your customers' expectations, to over-deliver and give them a fantastic experience that results in you getting better referrals, recommendations, reviews, and rebookings. It would be great if you could leave a review for us on iTunes. If you like the podcast, please do leave a review. I'm not asking for 5 stars. Be completely truthful about how you find the podcast. If you've got any comments for how it could be improved, then please do write to me. You can write to me, Tony@exceedingexpectations.me. That's Tony@exceedingexpectations.me. And let me know your thoughts. If you've got suggestions for a guest, it would be great to hear that as well. We've also got a Facebook group, which is called Exceeding Expectations at Facebook. Hope you enjoy this week's episode with Jeff Pulvino. Welcome to Exceeding Expectations. My guest today, Jeff Pulvino. Did I pronounce that correct, Jeff?
Tony, you did it perfectly.
Fantastic. And you're in sunny Sacramento.
Yes, I am.
And how long have you been there?
I've been in the Sacramento area for probably approaching 15 years.
I'm not so familiar with Sacramento. So is it summer all year round?
Definitely not, but we don't get a lot of the in-between. So we don't have a real big spring or fall as much as you would maybe anticipate in other areas of the country. It's kind of like either summer or winter. And so,
are you able to wear shorts for much of the year? Or, how cold would it get in the winter?
Oh, yeah. Most people will wear shorts throughout the year. It might get down cold in the mornings. Like in the morning today, it was probably in the high 40s, and in the afternoon, it'll be probably in the mid to high 70s. So, depending on what time of day it is, you can really go out and enjoy some fantastic weather just about all year round, unless it's raining, of course.
Right. And what is Sacramento? Is it famous for anything in particular?
Well, it is the capital of California. And even though it's the capital, it's kind of still maybe one of the smaller big cities in California. So it's a big city with all the politics and government, and but it still has kind of a small town feel to it. So, not near as big as like Los Angeles or San Jose or San Francisco.
How long have you been living there, did you say?
I've been here for about 15 years now.
And so what was it brought you there in the first place?
It was family. I had traveled and lived in various areas of the United States. I actually grew up in the Chicago area and moved to the Bay Area when I was a teenager, moving in with my father, and my parents had been divorced. And so I, through career choices, I had traveled all over the U.S., like Minneapolis and Texas and, all kinds of places, New York. And when that career path ended, I came back to California, ended up in Sacramento, because that's where I had family. Specifically, my mom was up here in Sacramento.
You mentioned about sort of career path changing. So what was it you did when you got to Sacramento?
Well, before I got to Sacramento and what was resulting in all the travel, I was working for a VC-funded startup by the name of CVCA. So, back in the dot-com boom of the Silicon Valley, everybody was trying to get jobs with startups and stock options. And I was one of those people who were seeing my friends, start up with a VC-funded company, get stock options, and go public. And next thing you know, they're a millionaire. And so sounded like a pretty good gig to me. And so it's definitely a path I pursued and went down. And I worked for a couple of VC funded startups. And the last was CVCA, where we had was in the healthcare space, and we'd raised over $100 million in multiple tranches. And we grew to be the largest privately owned healthcare administrator in that space. And so that was an amazing adventure. And when that ended, that's what brought me back to California. I was in Texas at the time, and that career ended, and I came back to California and wasn't sure what I was going to do, and ended up getting involved in real estate. And that's where I got really interested in entrepreneurial ventures and kind of like started my entrepreneurial efforts in my life resulting from that.
How were you involved in real estate? What were you doing?
I was working for a small investment or hedge fund that was based out of San Diego, California, that was buying distressed properties. And so we would buy properties that were, let's say, in foreclosure or in litigation that usually would need rehabilitation. And so we'd buy these properties at a discount and rehab them and sell them at top of market value. And that was during the tail end of the last, real estate boom. So, by the time you'd buy a property and flip it, it had gone up another $100,000. So it was very lucrative for us in the company. And they were expanding. So I started in Bakersfield, Southern California, and opened up all of Northern California for them as a region. And we bought a ton of properties until the market collapsed, and then that company went bankrupt.
And so what happened from there? I mean, because the crash, well, it was all around the property market, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It hit, the entire United States, but it definitely hit California market especially hard, especially in some of the areas that we had just launched, like Stockton, California was one of the hardest hit in the nation. And so, we had owned several properties in Stockton, California. So when that market crashed, housing prices dropped by, 50, 60, 70% in some cases. And so when that ended, that's when I started to get involved in entrepreneurial ventures. And some of them were, mortgage, real estate related. We were helping people with their property taxes, helping people with their toxic loans. And so, when the market continued to crash, because, that span of the market crashing, probably lasted a good 2-3 years. And when real estate didn't seem as viable long term, what we had done is we had started a company that was in the mortgage industry that was doing $25 million a year when the mortgage market finally fully collapsed. And we had our own internal marketing department. So we were sitting around as business owners and entrepreneurs, and we were discussing, what are we going to do tomorrow? It was the day after the entire mortgage market just dropped out, and there was, nothing anybody could do. And so, we decided that, hey, we've got this department that has been doing the marketing for all of our companies. Why don't we spin that department out and create a marketing company? And so that's what we did. And that's how we got in the marketing business. And, we've been there ever since. So that was about 10, 11 years ago.
And how easy or difficult was that process?
In concept, it seemed like it was going to be really easy, but, digital marketing is such a wide spectrum of services and specialties. And it's something that, changes every day, from the competitive landscape to, algorithm changes, every aspect of it. And so it's been the most challenging thing I've ever done in my life. And so we've gotten very good at it. And but it's definitely something that I, in comparison to anything else that I've done in my life, it's been definitely the most challenging because you have to keep on top of it all the time. It's ever changing, and there's so much to it.
And so do you specialize in any sort of particular niche, or what do you do?
Well, interesting enough, when we started the company about 10 years ago, we started in social media because that was like the new landscape of what we were working on at the time. It was like, Facebook and how do you market on Facebook was the newest, hottest thing. So we started in social media and expanded into other areas because of necessity. Like if we did a good job on their social media and their website was terrible, then of course we would have to, fix their website. So over the course of the years, we've expanded into all areas of digital marketing. And over the last probably 3 to 5 years, there's been a few very highly specialized things that we've done part of that is, e-commerce, funnel creation and management, and really building customers that are selling, products online and their funnels and marketing funnels and their marketing automation. One of the second areas where we got super focused and highly, I would say, specialized in what we do and what truly differentiates us from most other marketing agencies revolves around our digital marketing strategy process. What we've learned over the years, it's really odd that most people that are in marketing or trying to market their business, that they just don't have a plan, anything in writing, no marketing plan, especially no digital marketing plan. And for us, it's kind of like been building a house without a blueprint. And when you do that, if you can imagine like building a house without a blueprint, like the walls not meeting together and the faucet is 2 feet over from where the sink's supposed to be. And, just imagine all the nightmares of how everything would come together. Well, digital marketing is very complex. Much like building a house, you've got all these certain aspects, like plumbing, electricity, flooring, roofing. You've got SEO, pay-per-click, social media advertising, retargeting, email marketing, funnels, marketing automation, CRM. Like, you've got all these pieces that go into a very well-established and well-executed marketing plan. And what we've realized over the years is that without mapping all that out, without having a strategy that most importantly ties to the business owner's immediate and long-term goals, that you can't effectively market for the business and help them hit their goals. You might think you're doing a great job marketing. You could have built the best website. You could be driving traffic to it, but the business owner could be experiencing a decline in revenue.
And so why do you think people get so confused by it?
Well, because one, it's probably one of the most daunting subjects to stay on top of, because it's just changing, so fluidly on a daily basis, and there's so much to it. So, you've got just the sheer learning curve of it and how complex it is. But, the lack of the roadmap, I think, is really the key differentiator. Imagine, I kind of look at it as like the old pioneers traveling across the U.S. They didn't have maps or GPS, and they'd get lost and they'd end up, getting detours and getting stuck. And, nowadays we have GPS. We hardly ever get lost. And from a marketing perspective, a lot of these techniques are so complex and so new, and we're trying to navigate them without the map. And the map doesn't tie into the business goals. And that's really the process that we take our clients through. And when they first engage with us, we do a full marketing strategy workshop, and we take them through that process, and we identify the map and plan things out for the next 1 to 3 years. And it allows us to truly execute and impact the business's goals and bottom lines. And it helps us create long-term relationships.
So when they come to you, do they realize they need that map, or does that come as a real surprise when you explain that?
99% of the time, they have no idea they need that map.
So so you straight away exceeded their expectations just by doing that part of it.
Yeah, a lot of times they are coming to us because they think they want a specific product or service. But, when we say and talk to them about going to work on that product or service, we approach it like, hey, we're happy to do SEO for you. But if we're doing SEO and we don't understand your business goals and we don't have everything mapped out, SEO might not even be the best thing for you right now. It could be that you're better off taking that budget and spending it on pay-per-click and adding revenue to your bottom line based on your current, position, company health-wise, or whatever your revenue goals are. So it's a much more consultative approach that allows us to map out all aspects of digital marketing. And we do a lot of in-depth analysis on where they're at in the marketplace, but also what their competition's doing and who's really, who are the outliers in all the different areas of marketing that we can learn from, so that we're, instead of guessing what's going to work, we're actually using market data to plan on what's going to work.
So you're able to give us any sort of examples or stories of where you've helped someone who just had no idea about any of that, and you just sort of transformed what they were doing?
Yeah, one of our most famous case studies has to do with a athlete by the name of Jeremy Buenda, who is a Olympian bodybuilder. So I met Jeremy in between his second and third Olympia title. And he hired us to do some website work. His buddy had built his website. They like kind of maxed out his buddy's skill set, and he needed a professional to come in and finish up some things. And I remember doing a little bit of work, and it was like $3,000. And I'm, became friends with Jeremy, and I'm trying to hound him to pay me for this $3,000, which isn't a lot of money. And I'm telling, finally I kind of break down because we've developed a friendship. I'm like, Jeremy, why am I having to chase you for this $3,000? Like you're at the top of your game. Like you're an Olympian champion. Like you should, this should be nothing for you. And he's all, hey, Jeff, I don't really make a lot of money. Like the lifestyle of traveling and doing this type of work and what it takes and what they pay us in award money and prizes is very, very little in comparison. So yeah, a lot of times I'm broke. And I remember, at this point I've owned my own agency for about 7 years. And I remember it just really kind of like almost my jaw dropped, and I just had this aha moment, but kind of in a shocking way. Like, how could somebody who's so famous in their industry not be making money? And so my brain, kind of started spinning the wheels and gears. And so what we ended up doing was we ended up partnering with Jeremy, and we built his entire funnel. We laid out the strategy, just like we discussed, and we built the funnel. And, I told him, I said, year one, we'll do 6 figures, our goal. And year 2 will be 3 to 500,000. In year 3, we want to be, right around maybe 800,000. So we mapped everything out, laid out some very detailed goals, and we hit our goals year 1 and year 2, and we exceeded the goal year 3. We actually hit 1 million and went over the 800,000 year 3 goal. And so that's been an amazing journey. And to this day, nobody's ever monetized the industry like Jeremy has. And it's become something that we're really proud of because we took him from, $0 online to 7 figures online. And we built every aspect of that. And that's a case study we published about a year ago.
Wow. So you've completely transformed that guy's life.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
And so what, as a bodybuilder, what sort of things would he be doing to be able to make money? What was it you were able to change that was able to make money for him?
Yeah, so he's very passionate about his sport, and he's got a lot of knowledge and expertise. And so we were able to take that and develop different products and services around his areas of passion. So we developed ebooks, membership site, and we also developed coaching programs. And so, between those 3 different product lines are what generated the direct sales. But as a result of the increased sales, fame, traffic, and popularity, we were able to bring in several sponsorship opportunities from supplement companies and clothing lines that also resulted in significant income. And then eventually we launched a whole other clothing line called Hero Hero that did very well. We did well over $1 million first year, and in 20 plus countries first year. So that success, what's interesting is that initial success, bred increased success in other areas. And so it's been a phenomenal journey for him and for us.
And so obviously, it changed his life. So how did it change things for you? Because a lot of people must have started wanting to work with you because of that.
Yeah, I think it gave us a lot of clout and credibility, and as an agency and in the industry, and especially in the health and fitness niche, if you will. And it gave us the confidence to do a lot more advanced marketing strategies and campaigns as an industry. It was kind of a defining moment for us. But before that, I think we were probably, an average industry agency in the industry. And going through that, I think we're extremely above average and able to execute on, digital campaigns, e-commerce campaigns. And so, it's been something that I think really pulled the team together and increased everybody's knowledge and expertise throughout the process.
And so when you're creating a strategy such as you did for him, is there a point where you have to take some real sort of chances and risks and you're thinking, well, that might work, but maybe it won't? And is it like that, or how does it work?
With marketing, I think there's always challenges and risks based on a hypothesis, right? I think the difference with the strategy is we're basing our ideas or hypotheses in the strategy based on market research and data, and that supports our hypothesis versus just trying to be creative and guess what's going to work, which is what I find so many other agencies doing. The differentiator also is it's okay if something doesn't work as long as you're aware of it and adjusting it, because, you could have two of the exact same companies. Imagine a franchise, so that you've got like a Subway franchise. So your ideal customer is exactly the same. Your product's exactly the same. Your branding's exactly the same. You could launch a very specific ad campaign. Maybe it's a social media ad campaign, and you could launch that ad campaign in Los Angeles and one in Dallas. And you could have the one in Los Angeles do phenomenal and the one in Dallas tank. And so you've got identical like companies, branding, identical products and services. You could be targeting the same target audiences. So, with marketing in those scenarios, we're using a lot of data that makes us think it's going to be okay. And so even with your best hypothesis in place, you always have to measure the result and be able to track and adjust. Because if not, then you're not going to, one, optimize the campaign, and two, you're never going to reach peak performance in that campaign.
So for people that like myself who are non-marketers, and we hear a lot about things such as split testing and so on. So how much of a difference would split testing make, and what is it that you really do when you're doing something like that?
It's interesting. If you're a marketer, you know who Neil Patel is, and he's obviously somebody anybody who's in marketing follows. And I was watching kind of a State of the Union type speech that he's done recently, sometime in the last few months that I've seen it. And they had interviewed, hundreds and hundreds of different marketers, and small marketers, big agencies, people who worked at Fortune 500 companies, and they interviewed, tons and tons of questions. But the question I'm getting to is conversion optimization. And so what was interesting about the metric he quoted in this conference was that out of all the marketers interviewed, conversion optimization was what got the best result based on the budget spent on it. So based on if I had $10,000 to spend and I spend $1,000 on conversion optimization, 10% of my budget, that got better results than any of the money I spent anywhere else in comparison, as far as ROI goes, right? Return on investment of that money spent. So, that's pretty impactful. So when you talk about A/B testing, conversion optimization, that's just a kind of a nice little way to categorize it, right? The other aspect of that was that it was also the area that most marketers spent the least amount of money on. And so what I'm getting at is I think conversion optimization is kind of a hidden gem within opportunities of most marketing packages, because most people aren't even getting to conversion optimization. They're just still working on deploying the initial strategies.
So would you suggest that most companies who are thinking about, they're trying to come up with some kind of strategy, that's something they should really look at first?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they're trying to think how to reinvent and do something new and constantly maybe keep it fresh. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think, we try to keep the campaigns fresh that we do, but we also will design campaigns to be evergreen and run as long as possible so that we can do conversion optimization and really get the peak performance out of those campaigns.
So, and how do you see things changing for your sort of industry over the next few years?
I think that we're going to see a lot of advancements with bots and AI. We've seen it over the last couple of years. Today I was at customer support with Amazon trying to find out why my order that was placed that was supposed to be here tomorrow was all of a sudden moved to Tuesday. And it was very interesting to me because I could tell I'm dealing with a bot, but it was very human-like. I was talking to or actually texting with the Amazon support chat person, I realized it was a bot, and the bot was very human-like, and I was even trying to get to the point where I felt like I was with a human or could get the answer that I wanted, but it really reinforces how far AI has come, and we're using bots like that within marketing campaigns, using Facebook Messenger or website chat or different various chat engines. And I think Instagram is going to be another one that's going to be very popular as they deploy Instagram on the Facebook chat channel. So I think AI and bots and automation is really going to be something that's huge. And of course, that kind of ties into the next topic, which would be AI voice search tools like Alexa. I could see us, in the future just asking Alexa, where should I eat lunch? Book me a reservation. And Alexa, knowing my preferences, is going to be able to, pick the right spot. And Alexa is going to make those decisions based on her information. And it's going to be less about us searching on Google and finding the perfect restaurant.
And so how do you think it will change your business?
Oh, yeah. I think it's changing now already on a daily basis, and just will continue to change. I think that it's going to be something that businesses are going to have to be more adept than ever in order to compete in today's world with digital marketing. There's so many case studies of businesses who haven't planned for this or thought it was a fad that were monstrous businesses that have gone under, like Toys R Us or Sears or JCPenney's, that either have completely gone out of business or have had dramatic impacts and nearly gone out of business and had to file bankruptcy or reorganize the company. And so, and for every one of those large companies, there's thousands of small companies. And so I think if you're a small business owner and you're thinking that you don't have to be dependent upon digital marketing, I think you're putting yourself at an unnecessary risk.
Are you mostly working with local companies, or are you like all across the States or even other countries as well?
Yeah, we work with small local mom and pop companies all the way to national brands. We've even worked internationally. I've worked with a large boating manufacturer out of Canada. I worked with, oddly enough, some musicians and music studios out of Italy. We've worked with a staffing company out of Australia. So, people have found us internationally, but the core of our business is here in the U.S.
And so what are your general thoughts on exceeding expectations?
I think it's exceeding expectations has got to be a core function of what we do at Boost Media Group. We once we adopted this methodology of working on strategies, it's really allowed us to live that out. And why we don't like working with anybody unless we've done the strategy workshop as part of implementing the services, because it's so difficult to build a house without a blueprint. And so, no matter how good we are as a marketing agency, if we don't have that blueprint of what we should be doing and how that's supposed to affect the business, then it's just not as easy to execute on. And what I like to know going into it is the goals of the business and how I'm going to achieve those goals, so that I'm not then having to rely on necessarily the feedback from the business of, hey, are we doing a good job of marketing? Because I'm able to see how I'm impacting the business because we've level set on the goals before we even started marketing day one.
And so what would the strategy workshop involve? So is that like a sort of whole day thing where you'll sit down with their whole team, or how would it work?
It's an interactive virtual environment. We send a questionnaire first, and that questionnaire gets filled out by the company and the team. And then once they fill that out, then they meet with myself and my entire strategy team. And we debrief them and unpack the answers in the questionnaire. So going more in depth, maybe questions they didn't answer because they weren't sure how. And it goes really in depth to understand, the business, their vision, their products, their services, their target customers, who their competition is locally, nationally, direct, indirect, and so on. What they've done from a marketing perspective, what they're doing, what they've tried and failed, and we go really, really in depth. Once we unpack all that information, we then go to work with a very extensive audit of all of their assets. Like, what are they doing online? Getting access to their website, their Google Analytics, their Facebook account, advertising accounts if they're doing that. We analyze everything that they've been doing from a marketing perspective. And we go that in depth on all of their competition, direct, indirect competition, small local competition if they're a local company, and then big national brands. Because if you're a local company, I'm sure there's a big national brand that's your competitor as well. And we also look for outliers, like who's doing it right, who's doing a good job. So maybe even not a competitor that we came up with, but maybe we find a potential competitor on Instagram that's just crushing it, or on YouTube. So we look for the outliers in the industry, and then we analyze all of the competitors and the outliers all in the same way. So we can find, with the tools we have, we can see what ads they're running and how much traffic they're driving and what keywords they're using. So instead of us just, guessing or doing research based on our client, we're doing research based on the whole landscape. Once that's done, we use all that research to develop a strategy in each of the core marketing areas, such as, SEO, pay-per-click, retargeting, content marketing, social media marketing and management, social media advertising, email marketing. And it all ties together with what we call pillar content, which is long form content. And we break that up into micro content that ladders back up to the pillar content. So strategically, everything has a call to action that's meant to engage the audience more, bringing them down that funnel into a lead and a customer. And that's really what's going to differentiate not only us doing that strategy, but what the content we put out of it being truly effective in lead generation and then getting a true ROI out of it. So, mapping out the micro content that we put in social media so that there's actual purpose to it and can drive it into a lead is a big part of that strategy.
So are there any sort of sectors or industries that you prefer to work with, or is it quite varied?
It is quite varied. There's some areas of specialty, like, of course, the health, wellness, and fitness industry is a huge specialty of ours based on the success that we've had there. We're very proficient in the real estate and mortgage industry, as well as the automotive and boating industry. We've got a lot of experience in those specific niches. I like the fitness industry because it kind of is just fun and exciting. Like, if you've ever been to, like, the first time I went to the Olympia competition in Las Vegas, you're going to this business conference and competition, but it's much more like just kind of a fun rally in the health and fitness space, comparatively to maybe something that we've all been to before for business. So the fitness industry can be a lot more, I think, fun and exciting based on it's generally a different vibe than maybe if you were dealing with software engineers. So, I kind of like to have a little fun when I'm working. So that's if I had to say, that's been really enjoyable as far as like a niche that I enjoy the most.
Well, if people want to get more information on the things that you do, where should they go to?
Well, they can go to boostmediagroup.com. That's boostmediagroup.com. That's our business website, and that's the marketing agency. They can go there, read about our services, and inquire about a free evaluation. Or if they'd like to just maybe schedule some time to talk to me, they can go to jeff.marketing. So no .com, just jeff.marketing. And that's my own personal website. They could schedule a call with me, and I'm pretty accessible. Like, I'll get on the phone with just about anybody. I'll give somebody up to half an hour of my time, and I'd love to meet people, provide value to their life. I'm not here to sell or pitch people services. I'm actually here to just figure out how to build relationships and help and provide value. And if that somehow results in us working together, great. If not, then I believe in it kind of pays it forward eventually.
So, is there? Do you have a quotation that you like, Jeff?
I don't have a specific quote that comes to mind, but I can tell you one of my favorite people as far as a mentor goes is Walt Disney. So, I'm not the best at remembering a true definitive quote, but I'll tell you, one of my mentors, if I had to pick somebody that I'd like to be able to go back in time and meet, it's definitely Walt Disney. And, I like what he accomplished from a business perspective.
And so what is it? Is there anything particular that you like about what he did?
Of course, what he accomplished and what is still being accomplished by his initial efforts were amazing. But I think one of the most inspiring things to me is, just how much opposition he went up against to get his ideas launched, and what he overcame and what he had to do to continue to fail forward. And no matter how many times he failed, he just never gave up. And, just when you really peel back and watch some of his documentaries or read some of the books that have been written about him, it's just, he was an amazing individual who had immense perseverance as an entrepreneur.
Well, Jeff, it's been a real pleasure speaking with you, and also really informative as well. So thank you for your conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me. I really enjoyed this as well. And like I was telling you earlier, I hope to make it out to London one of these days, and maybe we can go have some lunch or dinner. Absolutely.
We'll have some fish and chips.
That would be great.
Okay, great speaking to you, Jeff. Cheers. Next week, episode 65 is with Judith Quinn. She has a company called yourwholevoice.com. That's the website, yourwholevoice.com, where she helps people to find their voice, to improve their communication. People who are maybe afraid of public speaking, she helps them feel like they have a voice and communicate, speak better. And we hear a lot of stories about how people were able to get much more done in their life, get much more confidence in their life, and to do things which they would never have expected to result just from simply improving their public speaking or just improving their communication skills. So that's next week with Judith Quinn. Do leave a review for us on iTunes. That really helps to get the show to more people. Maybe share this episode with anyone. For example, if you know someone whose marketing is not as good as it could be, certainly if their digital marketing strategy, if they don't have a strategy, they definitely need to listen to this podcast, to this episode. So if you know someone who has their own business and needs some help with marketing, this could be a good episode for them to listen to. Hope you've enjoyed this week's episode and have a great week.